This one's for Crawford. In your last outing, you called out Keith Thurman, and Keith Thurman is one of the bigger welterweights in the division. So what do you see? Is there anything beside the two belts that you see in Thurman that interests you?
He's the #1 guy in the welterweight division. So why take 1, 2, or 3, or 4 when I go to welterweight? I want the #1 guy at welterweight.
So you want to go for a title shot if you move up right away?
Right away.
Okay. What's the question?
Keith Thurman says he is not one bit interested in a fight with Terence Crawford. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing if you want to become part of the gang. Notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Now, Keith Thurman had his media day today, and he's preparing for a July 20th bout with Manny Pacquiao. It's up to my promoter. And actually Manny Pacquiao had his media day today. So there's a lot of videos on the net. You should be able to find this video, surfaced. But Keith Thurman, he talked about Terence Crawford. He says he is not the least bit interested in a matchup with Terence Crawford. He's also went on record in the past, and I've been there, I have it on video, where he was kind of mocking Terence Crawford, saying Crawford, he's coming up from 140. I'm not impressed by his resume. He's not really done anything at welterweight to move me or move the needle. And then now today at the media day, he comes out and says, so what? I'm not interested in fighting Crawford. Crawford has himself, I was at his fight with Julius Ndongo. At that particular fight, he said that he would like to not look past Ndongo too much, but he called out Keith Thurman at the press conference. I was there. I got that on tape too. And he says he would like to fight Terence Crawford. This is back when he was at 140 before he beat Ndongo to become undisputed. So Terence Crawford is a dog, and he's had his sights on Keith Thurman. But, the strange thing about Keith Thurman, to me, just being honest, I like him. I think he's a talented fighter. But his energy switches. Like he's talking all this about fighting Pacquiao, who's 40 years old. Pacquiao's a legend, been knocked out before, stuff like that. Not considered a big welterweight, throwback fighter who fights around their fighting weight, their walk around weight. And he's like, he gussies up on Pacquiao talk and is real ramped up and is real prime Keith Thurman vintage. He's like, oh yeah, Jesus was crucified. I know he's into the Bible and Christian, and I'm a crucified Pacquiao. He's like hyped up and like really, really going after it when it comes to Pacquiao talk. But when it comes to Terence Crawford, he's just easily dismissing him as if that's not a quality fight. He said they can entice me with money, but I'm not really personally interested in the fight. But it's weird because Keith Thurman, he's going to consolidate if he can beat Pacquiao, the WBA belts. He was once a 2-belt champion. He says he wants that WBC back. Errol Spence is probably going to fight Sean Porter next. So the winner of that will be the champion, the IBF and WBC champion. So I'm really confused because Keith Thurman, again, his energy switches. When it comes to Errol Spence, he doesn't seem as amped up and hyped to fight him. A lot of people have suggested this. I was one of the first to suggest this way back when. Even when Floyd Mayweather, years ago, he said when he was being called out vehemently by Keith Thurman, and Floyd was like, oh, Keith, he's a good little fighter, but I got a guy he could fight, Errol Spence. That's what we need to fight. Everybody want to fight Money Mayweather. And Keith never really showed interest at that point in fighting Errol Spence. Oh, he's a young pup, and I didn't just get the fights I wanted straight away, and Errol Spence got to win a title, and he got to build his brand and this and that. And then Errol Spence has done just that. Keith Thurman, on the other hand, after his best wins, Sean Porter and Danny Garcia, he kind of went into an exile where no one really heard from him. He was playing the flute and Tibet and just different things, getting married and stuff. And as a boxer, he kind of fell off, getting injured and out of sight, out of mind type of thing. And then he's never really showed that interest in fighting Errol Spence Jr., right? And as far as Terence Crawford, he's always kind of berated Crawford as a welterweight. He said, oh, he's good at 140, but he ain't done nothing. And then now in today's media day, he's reaffirming those thoughts by saying, I'm not even interested in fighting him, which is just weird because whether you like it or not, Terence Crawford is a talented fighter. You know, people have him on the pound for pound #1 list. But more importantly, he's a champion in the division. So if you ever want to be undisputed, which should be everybody's goal, to try to prove that you're the best, if you can make the weight and stuff, why would you not want to fight Terence Crawford? Again, a talented, undefeated WBO fighter. I can't wait to hear Terence Crawford because you know Crawford, once he gets wind of this, he's not the one to hold back. So he's going to probably say something. So look forward to that video, my reaction to that. But it's just weird. The energy is weird, like, you know, and the walls are kind of closing in for Keith Thurman. As far as the Errol Spence, he's going to have to fight Errol Spence or Terence Crawford if he gets past Manny Pacquiao. That's just kind of how I see it. People are going to demand that. His prime years have somewhat been wasted being plagued with injuries, and people are going to demand, you know, these good fights from Keith Thurman. I don't know at all why he has, I don't know if it's the top because he's with Top Rank, but he seems like he has this disdain and discredits Terence Crawford, who obviously you can't overlook. So I don't know if maybe there's more to it. Maybe he values and thinks Crawford is a bad style matchup for him. And, you know, he's trying to act disinterested. I don't know. I can't really speak on behalf of him. I'm just throwing out different ideas. But no matter what anyone says, Crawford is somebody you have to pay attention to if we're talking about the welterweight division. And so is Errol Spence, you know. So let me know what you guys think of Keith Thurman's comments. I don't know what's going to happen next, but obviously it's all eyes on Keith Thurman July 20th with Manny Pacquiao. We got to see how he looks in that fight. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure if you're new, you consider subscribing. We just talk about the latest, greatest of boxing, cover fights, and, you know, give you guys coverage. It's whatever you want. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We work.
With your boy Keith One-Time Thurman.
The fans are going to be like, okay, Keith's going for a rematch with Danny and Sean. The other guy, Spence. That's what the fans are all going to say in the comment section.
Yeah, I don't care that they don't understand boxing. Most people don't know shit about boxing. You know, this is one of my favorite quotes from the Mayweathers, and I don't really enjoy quoting the Mayweathers. You know what I mean? But it's real. Most people don't know shit about boxing. I haven't boxed for a long time now, and I want to get back in the ring. Of course, it's going to be a tune-up, and then this a rematch fight is a respectable fight. To act like it's not a respectable fight is retarded. But at the end of the day, why do you want Keith and Spence? Why?
It's a super fight.
Exactly. #1 versus #2. Okay? Of course, the world of boxing wants to see #1 versus #2 because they want to know, does #2 become #1, or is #1 that dude? That's #1. Respect that. You know what I mean? So
Spence is
he's #2. He is ranked I think he's currently ranked #2. In my book, he's #2, and he deserves to be #2 because if there wasn't Keith Thurman, Errol Spence would be #1. But that's because I hold greater credentials than he does. I've accomplished a little bit more than he has, and I just was in the spotlight before he was. At the end of the day, I'm #1 for a reason. He's #2 for a reason. The reason why you guys want to see the fight, there's a good reason, but I'm not going to come off of this big of a layoff, have a tune-up fight, and fight the #2 fighter in the world. That's just not how it works.
Where does Crawford finish this? What?
Sorry, we gotta wrap
I don't
up.
know.
I'm
I
so
don't even
sorry.
really think.
2A? 2B?
I mean, I don't even think he's even fought any welterweight yet. I mean, to me, I'm sorry to say, but he's barely a champion. You know what I mean? That Australian.
That's the headline.
That Australian, you know, I'd give me one eye, give me one arm, and I would have beat that boy. You know?
This is an event that happened overseas.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. The whole setup looked different.
Yeah. I'm stuck here having to do this instead of being out there talking to you and stuff. How are you?
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.